Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's class. I hope you have a nice weekend. So today we'll be learning about immunological disorders, specifically allergies. Let me get a pointer. Okay. So today's lecture is super short, and these are the objectives. We have to first distinguish between the two major categories of immune dysfunction and state, and give an example of each. We also describe the process of type 1 allergy response using key terms and discuss the effect on target organs and tissue. So last week we discussed more about the immune system and we talked of some people having allergic reactions. Um, I think in class we discussed about some people having allergic reaction to vaccines and things like that. So what we will be focusing today on is what an allergy is and what happens and how does our body react to it. What is the whole process of how we get allergies? So there are major categories of immune dysfunctions. And the first one we will talk about is hypersensitivity diseases. Basically, your body is overreactive, causing an overreactive immune response to whatever you are being exposed to. It can be an allergen or a pathogen. And the under the hypersensitivity disease, there are four major types. We have type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4. The type 1 is what normally includes is what normally falls under allergies. So type 1 is basically allergies. And then from type 2 to type 4 is autoimmunity disease related. So in type 2, we have the antibody mediated. Basically, this is just mediated from through blood type incompatibility. So you have a situation where your IgG and IgM antibodies and some of the complement proteins are basically lysing the host cells. And this is mostly common during blood transfusion if the right blood type and compatibility is not being, the right blood type is not being made sure for compatibility and it's just um, sent over to the host. And this normally, in worst cases, can result in death. And then type 3 is immune complex disorders. An example is a rheumatoid arthritis. Basically, when your immune cells decide to attack your joints. And then this basically happens, and what we normally see is that we have IgG antibodies being deposited in the basement membrane of the target organs, resulting in inflammation. So you realize that people who have arthritis will be like, "Oh, I have pain in my joints and there's inflammation over there." This is basically resulting from the IgG antibodies depositing there, causing inflammation. And the type 4 is cell mediated or cytotoxic T cell mediated. And a clear example is from graft rejection when someone, let's say, get a transplanted organ and then the body is not accepted the organ. That's when you have a type 4 mediated, a type 4 hypersensitivity disease. And basically, what results is that the T cells respond to the antigens coming from the transplanted organ as a foreign pathogen instead of it recognizing it as a self. And then we come to point two, which is hyposensitivity disease. So the first one is hyper, it means overreactive of the immune response. Second one is hypo, which means underreactive immune response. And under that, we have two types. So we have primary immunodeficiency, which is mostly genetic disorders where you have some people. One example is sickle cell, where you have the immune response always super lower, and then your immunity is not super strong to fight a lot of disease. So they are always predisposed to getting infections or diseases a lot. The second class is secondary immunodeficiency, which normally comes from either natural or artificial causes. Um, some of the known causes include AIDS, where you get infected, your immune system becomes weak. Some of them is through chemotherapy. If someone have cancer and they are trying to treat it, chemotherapy basically brings down the activity of your immune system, and the list goes on and on. So now that we've understood the types, let's focus mainly on allergy. So allergy is basically, as we've discussed already, a response to an inflammation response to allergens that you've been exposed to. So allergens, which is basically the antigens that do not affect non-allergic individuals. So allergens comes in different four different categories. So they can come in as inhalants, which can include pollen, which is we know is being secreted in the air, you end up breathing in and you get allergic reaction. Or it can come in as ingestants, where it can be some people are just allergic to shrimp, strawberry, peanut, or red eye. Or it can come in the form of injectant, where people get allergic reaction to, as we discussed in class, like drugs. Example include penicillin. Or you can be allergic to bee sting, where you get inflammation on your skin. And the fourth, your fourth category is that it can be coming from contactant, something that contacts your skin, so detergent, gloves, or lotions. So you can see that they all have allergens. It's known to have a similar mechanism like um, the ones that we've already discussed in class relating to pathogens having their epitope exposing to your immune system. It's just similar mechanism. You just get exposed to specific your body gets exposed to specific antigens. um your body get exposed to specific antigens that, as we've already learned in class. So sorry, let me clarify this. So there's the same mechanism. So here your body get exposed to the allergens, right? Instead of exposing to antigens, as we've already learned in class, where you have a pathogen, have antigen on it, and then the antigen is being presented to your antigen presenting cell, it get processed and trigger your immune response. This time around, instead of antigens, your immune response is being triggered by the allergens that is present in your body, or that is being secreted in your body. So that is the main difference. It's just allergens here instead of antigens, and it's basically the same reaction. So some of the key players in type 1 allergic response is usual the B cell and the T cell, which are used for initial detection of and the sensitization of the allergen. And then B cells will always produce antibodies. So the most common antibody involved in this process is also immunoglobulin B, which is produced by B cells. They will then be transferred to the mast cells and basophils to try and detect the allergen. So then the mast cells and the basophil will serve as a secondary detection unit, basically producing of chemical mediators of symptoms. Then you get to see, oh, then I am allergic to this thing or that. So basically, this is how the whole process happens. So we have two processes. So first one is sensitization or IgE production, and the second one happens when you have subsequent exposure, subsequent allergen exposure. So let's take it one after the other. So now here comes in here comes in the allergen. Let's imagine maybe pollen or something. So that's your allergen. It gets into your it enters through your bloodstream. It enters through your body, gets it transferred through the lymphatic vessels, and then gets into your lymph node. And then, as we already said in class, we have B cells, which is same as an which is functional as an antigen presenting cell. Sorry. We have a B cell which is functional as an antigen presenting cell. So now here the B cell recognizes the allergen, and then as we learned in class, the B cell have to process the allergen and then present it to um, uh, the T helper cell. So this is where the whole thing happens, and then the T helper cell can go ahead and activate all downstream stuff that we've already learned in class. Subsequently, the B cell already, as we said, can act on its own. So now that the B cell have interact with the allergen, the B cell can go ahead and then proliferate into plasma cells and secrete antibodies, specifically in our case, IgE, which is basically targeting or representing a target of the allergen is your body have already been exposed to. So now here in step 5, the plasma cells are secreting IgE, and then the IgE will then goes ahead and bind to the mast cell surface. And inside the mast cells have the granules with inflammation mediators. So then it just waits. So as time goes on, your mast cells will be primed with the IgE. So if you get a second exposure where you have an allergen comes in again and re-enters again, this time around the allergen, because the immune cells, sorry, because of the antibodies produced by the B cells are present on the mast cells. So when the IgG enters again, the when the allergens enter again, the allergens will bind into the IgG, which is already present on the mast cell, and then there will be degranulation, which happens, and then it will result in a systemic secretion of the inflammation mediators already present in the mast cell. So it will secrete that into your bloodstream, resulting in a systemic distribution of these allergic mediating inflammation mediators right into your bloodstream. So then what happens next? So now the we have the granules with inflammatory mediators now circulating through your bloodstream, and here they do a lot of things. First of all, they will cause dilation of your blood vessels, and they can also lead to constriction of your bronchioles, and they can also stimulate your nerve cell, which will always result in you having a pain. Secondly, they can also result in constriction under the they can also result in the constriction of your bronchioles, where people we see them having like difficulties in breathing, which we term it as asthma. So some people just get allergic reaction and they just get recurrent asthma, and that's basically what happened. They get constriction, vasoconstriction of their bronchos, and then sometimes they will have their airway, they will have their airways being obstructed or blocking by mucus buildup, and then they have to take their asthma drug. Simultaneously, it can also lead to increased blood flow, which most of the time you see it on your skin, as you can see, like veins are dilating, and you can clearly see them out on your skin. Sometimes some people will have bad stomach peristalsis, resulting in like diarrhea or vomiting, and then sometimes it can also lead to the secretion of glands in your epithelial tissue, where you kind of blow your nose a lot. And you do not need to know the specific chemical mediators, just know what it does. So under type 1 hypersensitivity conditions, we have subgroup of some of the things that we see, or some of the things that result from you having allergies. One example is hay fever, which is basically is more like a chronic year-round sensitization. People have allergies and they sneeze a lot, and they have like hay fever. Mostly comes from you inhaling pollen or mold from the environment. And another example of a type 1 hypersensitivity condition is asthma, which we've already discussed, where you have asthmatic episodes, and this is basically resulting from constriction of your bronchioles, and then you have problems. Some people get it maybe when they eat from food, or they get allergic reaction from pollen or something else. They just have these episodes. One known example of type 1 hypersensitivity is eczema. So some people will get eczema when they use a specific soap or specific lotion or something like that. They just get these blisters all over their body. And when they are being exposed to this, some can even come from food that they eat, or pollen, or anything that they inhale. The fourth one is food or drug allergy. it's just there's just a lot of varieties coming from this. Some come as in the name, it just arises from you taking some food or some drugs, and some will have like example, they might have like puffy lips or some things on their skin. So in relation to allergies, allergies have been linked to hygiene. So basically, people think that if you have a pretty kind of I won't say bad, but if you have a pretty rough hygiene situation when you are young, it helps build your immune system, and you get resistant to these allergens, and you will never develop allergies in the near future. One of such thing is that when you have children in rural areas who are always around animals, they tend to build they tend to have lower rates of getting allergies later on. And also, if a child is being given birth through C-section, or if your child a child is being given birth through C-section, basically what happens is they don't have to pass through the normal birth canal, so they don't get exposed to some vaginal fluids or some stool bacteria which might be present during um, delivery. So these bacteria is known to help build the immune system of the child, and if the child is being delivered through C-section, they don't get exposed to this, so their immune system don't develop this resistance, and later they can get allergies. Another one is if the maternal the mother have a history of allergy, it can easily be food allergy or anything can easily be passed on to the child during conception or during pregnancy. And then lastly is sometimes if there's a high use of antibiotics in someone's early years, they tend to develop allergies towards these antibiotics. So they've actually been a strong role of microbiome being established in relating to allergies and immune disorders, which is basically if you have a strong if your microbiome is well built in your early ages, you tend not to have allergies being developed. And this is kind of a hypothesis which has been formed. I don't know if there's a strong evidence backing this, but for example, that of the children in rural system is being built, but if other things like a child building immune system earlier in its microbiome earlier on have not been fully established yet. Also, there are some genetic factors that can also influence your immunity. Sorry, your ability to build allergy or not. So if some people just have genes or mutated towards a specific allergens, and then it doesn't matter, it's just being passed from one parent to the other. So try and work on acquire immunity worksheet 4, and also try and also practice this. Today's lecture is super short. I'll send another one on Wednesday, and hope to see you guys in class tomorrow. Remember to turn in your assignment if you haven't. The semester is almost over. Turn your assignments in. Okay. Bye and have a nice day.